Hello friends, in this video I will talk about how to ace a screening interview. What I will cover in this video is what are the kind of questions you should expect in a screening interview, why are they asking those questions, how should you prepare for those questions, and more importantly, how we should go about answering those questions. So I will talk about all of this in this video. Also, in the end, I will leave you with a bonus tip on how to leverage and make use of the screening interview in order to ace the interviews that will follow in the recruitment process. Now let me talk about what is a screening interview. As the name suggests, screening interview is an interview round to shortlist and screen out candidates. Now, a particular organization, when they post a job opening, may receive a large number of applicants. The first round of shortlisting and screening is done by reading through the resumes and only selecting the ones which they find relevant for the particular job. This is usually done by the recruiter. Now with this shortlisting, they may end up with 10 to 12 applicants. However, 10 to 12 applicants is still a large number to be taken through the entire recruitment process within the organization, and they want to further shortlist them down to, let's say, 4 or 5. For this, they run the screening interview round. So these interviews are short 20 to 30 minute round where they connect with the applicant, and in those 20 to 30 minutes decide whether they should be shortlisted and move to the next round or not. Now, in 99% of the cases, you should expect the screening interview to be taken by an HR officer or the recruiter himself. So this is a person who's coming from an HR department, and hence all the questions in this interview would be regarding you as a person, just trying to understand you, whether you're a good fit for the role and if you're a good fit for the culture of the company that you're going into. So key focus would be on what has been asked in the job description, because this person would primarily or usually have a job description in front of them, would have key elements of the job description written down, which would have been passed to them by the hiring manager, such as they're looking for someone who can do financial planning, budgeting, someone who can look after a team, develop a team, someone who can run certain systems that they're looking for, and so on and so forth. So when they will be inquiring about you, they will be looking for those features which have been already called out in the job description. Plus, they want to know if you're a good fit for the organization culturally. And hence, it is important for you to, again, make sure you read through the job description, make sure when you talk, when you give your answers, you relate to those key factors and talk about how you are a good cultural fit for their organization, for which it is important that you understand what is the organization culture. For this, you can find a lot of material on Google with regards to the organization's culture. If you can just Google their website, you'll find what are they about, what are their vision, mission, and what is their culture, and hence try to emulate it when you are giving your answers. So when you tell about them about yourself, you should kind of give the signal that you are a good cultural fit for the organization. Now let me take a break here and call out 2 actions for you. In case you like this video and found this valuable, then press the like button. This helps me stay motivated and also tells me the kind of content that I should be creating, given you are finding value in that content. And second, press the subscribe button and also smash the bell icon, because this way you will get notified as soon as I post a content on this channel. Now I post 2 videos every week on this channel for young and mid-career professionals on how to achieve career success and how to achieve financial freedom. So number 1, expect to be asked what are you doing currently, or explain what is your current role. What they want to understand is whether your current role and your current experience has made it possible for you to take the next step in your career and hence move into the role that you've applied for. So kind of, are you ready today or not? The best way to prepare this question is to make sure that you understand the job description and pick out the key relevant factors that the recruiter would be looking into, which are already called out in the job description. Make sure when you explain your current role, you talk about those key factors that the job description or the recruiter is looking for. So for instance, if they're looking for someone who can develop a team, someone who can optimize budgets, or someone who can forecast or plan, make sure when you talk about your current role, you can talk about that currently you're doing forecasting and planning for certain business unit. You've optimized certain budgets that you work on, and you have a team that you manage and develop. This way, when you talk about your current role, you'll be kind of giving the recruiter the assurances that you've done the things that they are looking for, and hence you're the right person to take on the job, because you're someone who's currently doing kind of similar work that they expect to be done by them or in that particular role that you've applied for. Second, expect to be asked, tell me about yourself. Here the recruiter wants to know about who you are as a person and introduce yourself to them. This is, by the way, one of the most commonly asked questions in any interview, and it is not just limited to a screening interview. Rather, you should expect this question to be asked almost in every interview. For this particular question, I've made a separate video because this question deserves a separate video on its own. And the reason it deserved a separate video is because this is, while one of the most frequently asked interview question, is yet most underprepared interview question, because you kind of expect that someone just wants to know about you, you don't prepare, and you just go in the interview and you start talking about mostly your resume and start sharing those facts which are already presented on the resume. However, this is your moment to connect with the recruiter, to show who you are as a person and develop that connection where they start to like you. And hence it is important for you to go and check out the video that I've already prepared in this regards, and check it out as to how I've suggested that you should lay down your answer. And again, as I said, this is important not just for the screening interview, but for any interview. However, for screening interview, this would be also an important question that you need to prepare. Another most common screening question that you should expect to be asked is, why do you want to leave your current organization or your current role? And again, here the idea is that the recruiter is trying to know you better, and hence they want to understand what is your motivation to leave your current role and your current organization. Here, make sure that you don't talk bad about your current role, your current manager, or your organization, even if that is the case. Even if you are frustrated from your current situation and you want to move out of that situation, don't talk bad about them at all. The best way to answer this question is to tell them that you kind of matured from the organization altogether. What this means is that you don't have more space or more places to grow within the organization. And while you want to grow and you see yourself someone who's ambitious and someone who wants to grow, you don't see that space available in your current organization anymore. Now, this could be because the roles that you see fit for you are already filled in the organization, and there are people in the organization in those roles who may not be moving in the near future, and you don't want to wait for them to move. Or maybe there is no further space in the organization. So for instance, one example could be the regional office is pretty small and they don't have enough role in that regional office. Or even if it's a global office, the function that you operate in is not a core function in the organization, and hence the hierarchy in that organization is pretty flat, and you don't have more opportunities to grow in the organization anymore, and hence you don't see yourself challenged in the future and grow and develop, and that's why you want to move out of the organization or the role that you are currently in. Again, remember, don't talk bad about the organization, just talk about yourself, how you see yourself growing and developing, but you don't see that opportunity being available in your current organization, and hence you're looking out. Another important question that you should expect to be asked is, why are you interested in this role? Or why are you interested in the company that you're applying for? Now, to answer this, you can certainly use part of the answer from the previous question that I talked about, which is, why do you want to leave your current role? Which could be part of the reason why you want to join this company. That is, for instance, your current role has been matured in the current company that you're working, and hence you don't find any further roles or challenges available in your current company, and hence you're looking out. Now, the second part is, why do you want to be part of this role? And the reason they're asking you this question is because they want to understand whether you will be interested in the role that you will do. Are you passionate about it? And what is your level of passion and interest? Plus, they also want to understand whether you have an understanding of yourself, that are you self-aware with regards to where you stand in your skill set today and how you can contribute to the company in future or the role in future. So here, make sure you bring both the elements. One is why you're passionate about the role or the company, and second is how you can add value to the company and to the role while being self-aware. For instance, you can always start talking about how much you like the culture of the company, for which you may have gone online, searched what the culture of the company is about, what is their vision and mission, and can just talk about how you can associate with that vision and mission and how you find that this is kind of a culture where you want to work. Second is the skill set. So here you talk about first how you are ready for that job, for which you can directly refer to the job description and talk about the key skills or the key responsibilities or attributes that they are looking for, and say that, for instance, you see that in the job description you've talked about financial planning, budgeting, analysis, certain systems, people management, and I've been doing this role previously, or I've been doing these tasks previously in my experience, or currently I'm working on them, or I'm doing these tasks. So I'm very much aware and have the skill set in order to be part of that role. However, at the same time, it is important that you also show them that this is not just a role which you can easily do. Because if this is a role that you can easily do and you're already doing, or you've done it in past, then what is the point of joining this role? Because you won't be able to grow, you won't be able to develop. So you also need to give some signs of that while you can do this role, but you can kind of do 80% of the role, and there will be 20% of development and learning that will come in you. And that could be something, for instance, you can say that I've done similar role, I've done similar task, but the size of the business that I managed was smaller, and the size of the business that you are offering here in this role is bigger. So that is the challenge that I see. That is the part where I see myself growing once I take up that role. However, with regards to the key attributes that you've listed here, most of them I have already worked before and have certain experience. Another way of talking about it could be that I have all these roles and all these skills with me because I've done them. However, I've done them in a very different category or in a very different market, or in a very different country for that matter. But here, for instance, previously I was working for a company called Procter & Gamble, and I was working on hair care business. And now the company or the role that I'm applying for is on fem care, on baby care. So it's a complete different category. However, I'm sure that the kind of situations or the problems are at the end of the day very much similar. And the experience that I've developed managing hair care can be easily reapplied to baby care or fem care category. And similarly, you can talk about different markets, or as I said previously, the size of the business. But you have to leave some room where you tell them how this role is not just about you knowing everything, rather there is some interest in your development here as well. And that is why you want to take this role. Because otherwise it will seem like if you know everything, if you've done everything, if you are at that level already in the company you are, this would be a straight lateral move for you. It won't be a step up. And if it's not a step up, it doesn't make sense. Why do you want to take this move? Next important question that you should certainly expect to be asked is with regards to your salary expectations. And the reason the recruiter wants to ask this question is because they don't want you to go through the entire recruitment process where your time is consumed, the time of the managers who will be interviewing you is consumed, in the end only to realize that the salary that they are offering you is not something that you are okay with, and hence you just end up saying no because you didn't like the salary. So it's better to understand the salary expectations upfront. Now for this, I made a separate video as well, and I expect that you go and check out that video where I talk in detail how you should go about answering this question. However, one tip that I can leave you here, which I may not have covered in that video, is you can always try to ask them to give a number before you can quote a number. Because there is always this feeling that if you quote a number and if it's a lower number, while they were holding on to a higher number, suddenly you lost a lot of good value on the table. So it's always best to ask, and this is what I've done when I've been asked this question, is I clearly ask them that if I give you a number, does that mean that I lose all room for negotiation? Because I don't want to lose any room for negotiation. So I will only give you a number if you tell me whatever number I'll give you will also still have room for negotiation. So this is one. Second is, maybe you can directly ask them, which is, can you tell me instead what is the range? Because I don't feel comfortable giving a number, as I find this a very tricky question, and I'm not sure if I'm not sure if I'm ready to answer this question, or maybe I'm not sure if I'm comfortable answering this question. So you should always expect that the recruiter has some range in their mind, and if you refuse to answer, they will always present that range to you. And if you fit in the range, very well, good. You don't need to say much, and you can just say, this more or less is what I was expecting. Or if you still want to kind of push towards the higher end of the range, if they give you a range between, let's say, 100 to 150, you can always say, I was expecting somewhere around 150. So we are good and we can proceed with the process. But still, there are more tips and more suggestions that I have in the video that I've prepared exactly for this topic. So please do check it out as well. Last question that I have on my list is expect to be asked as to when can you join? This is a very natural question. Again, this doesn't mean that you're hired, because this was just a screening interview. However, they want to make sure that by the time you're done with the interview, just like your salary expectation, there are no surprises. So they don't want to go through the entire process, take you through the entire process, consume all your time and the time of the interviewer, only to realize that you cannot join in the date that they expect the person to join this role, and ultimately it's simple waste of time for everyone else. So make sure you're very realistic. There is certainly room for negotiation. You can always negotiate with regards to having to require more time or less time or whatever it is, but it is essential that you're realistic about it and don't keep any surprises, as this will just not be taken well by the time you're in the process or by the time you've ended the process. Now the bonus tip here is to make sure that you make use of the screening interview to set yourself up for success in the balance of the recruitment process. So what you need to do is make sure you completely understand the role and exactly what is the hiring manager or the recruitment team looking for. There are a lot of things which are not mentioned in the job description because job description is at times just full of jargons. However, there are 2-3 key things which are really essential for the role. So what you need to do is you need to ask the recruiter what are the soft skills that they are looking for, what are the hard skills that they are looking for. Is there anything special that the hiring manager is looking for? Is there any critical aspect of skill or knowledge that the hiring team is looking for and they need? So gather all that knowledge, take note of it, and make sure that when you move into the balance of the recruitment process, you have some examples or something to talk about pertaining to the skills or the things or the critical items that the recruiter has already called out. Again, as I said, if you go through the job description, it is all full of jargons. You just need to know what are the 2-3 critical things that the hiring team is looking for and make sure you ace on them. Hopefully this video was helpful for you to now be able to know and understand what are the questions that you should expect in a screening interview, how to prepare them, and how to answer them and ace them. Thank you.